Joining us now is someone else we're glad to have, Joe DiGenova, mostly because he seems to make news every week when he joins us. So let's see if we can keep the streak alive. Hey, Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Larry, and good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
So, Joe, I'm hearing now that there are more Benghazi whistleblowers ready to step forward, according to Roger Simon over at PJ Media. Do you know anything about this? You are our go-to guy on Benghazi whistleblowers.
There are more people. Right now, what's happening is people who were afraid to come forward have seen the testimony of Greg Hicks and Mark Thompson. And what they've decided is they're gonna take the risk of coming forward and then be attacked by the administration. What the administration does is they use intimidation and reprisal to go after whistleblowers. It's really quite disgusting. These are the good government people, remember. These are the Democrats who believe in government and use government for good, and now they're using it for evil. These are mostly contract CIA employees who are coming forward and some additional Department of State people. This is going to continue to unravel, and what's going to be shown to have happened is exactly what we told. Remember, this story started on WMAL. We and you and everybody involved at WMAL brought this to life by showing that the whistleblowers were coming forward. This story is not going to go away. It's only going to get worse for the administration. And, Ambassador Pickering is negotiating, quote-unquote, his appearance with the committee to appear before Darrell Iss's committee. As you know, Ambassador Pickering wrote the ARB, the Accountability Review Board cover-up report.
Yep.
But guess what? He's being represented by Williams & Connolly, one of the most expensive law firms in Washington, D.C. Now, who's paying their fees? Do you think it's Ambassador Pickering?
Huh.
I'll bet it's the Department of State. And if so, what are they paying, and why are they paying?
Yeah, why does he need to have? I mean, what's he got to hide? I mean, he's just talking about the Accountability Review Board that he headed up. Why does he need?
Williams & Connolly.
Wow.
Why would you hire Williams & Connolly? And more than that, we represented our whistleblowers for free.
Huh.
Why does he need paid-for attorneys from Williams & Connolly to charge? The average rate at Williams & Connolly is $750 an hour.
Well, hopefully somebody at the State Department briefing today. Those have become fascinating briefings, by the way. I don't know if you watched them.
They're hard to miss.
Yeah.
Baghdad Bob Ventrell is there every day. He's the clown who has been lying from the podium from day one. He's unbelievable. By the way, there's a new scandal brewing on the targeting front. You remember the IRS. You remember sending in the FBI to these Tea Party people. Do you remember the Gibson guitar raid over the wood coming in from Brazil, that little company?
Violation of the Lacey Act, right? They had to pay a big fine, $50,000. Mm-hmm.
Guess what? There were 3 other companies doing exactly the same thing who weren't touched. You know what the difference between the 4 companies is?
I can probably guess.
The three companies that weren't raided all give most of their money to the Democratic Party. Gibson Guitar gives all of its money to Republicans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at one of the worst scandals in history. This administration is out of control. This president claims he knows nothing about anything. And when you get to the James Rosen part of this puzzle, beginning back in 2009, here's what I want to know as an old U.S. attorney. Where is that FBI agent Reyes who signed that false affidavit about James Rosen? Where is the assistant United States attorney who approved it? I know the magistrate approved it and let it go. All he did was rule on what was presented to him. But I want to know, where is Agent Reyes now? What is he doing? This guy should be fired from the FBI, and so should the assistant U.S. attorney who authorized that warrant.
Well,
this thing is huge, guys. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Joe DiGenova, let me ask you another question about that. I really wanted to ask you this. As the former U.S. attorney here in the district, we saw U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's been around a long time, right? He's a Reagan appointee.
I actually was instrumental in him getting his judgeship.
Right.
I was asked if I wanted a judgeship. I said no when I was U.S. attorney, and I said, but let me tell you something. Royce Lamberth is the guy who should be a federal judge. He's a wonderful judge, very
perfect.
Good judge.
So Judge Lamberth, he's the guy he's the judge who authorized the subpoena against James Rosen, and apparently back in November of 2011, he ordered that these documents were to be unsealed so that the public could know about it. That would have been, let me see, November 2011. That's a year before the election,
right.
Joe DiGenova.
I'm going to tell you something.
Somehow it stayed sealed, and apparently the judge is very very upset about this. Who's responsible for that? Is it the judge's court or is it the attorney's office?
There are two people responsible for this. That is the administrative staff of the United States District Court and the U.S. Attorney's Office. And the U.S. Attorney's Office is now coming under increasing scrutiny because they have been involved in this is my old office. I really love this office. I have a lot of respect for the people there. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. I want to know who in that office or whether or not these warrants were signed off on at Main Justice up the street, whether or not it wasn't signed off on by the U.S. Attorney. That's why it's very important. The documents that have been made public do not show which prosecutor reviewed the affidavit and authorized the search for James Rosen's private personal emails. So we need to know, but we do know who the agent was who made up this false statement. This guy Reyes, I want to know where he is in the FBI superstructure right now. And everybody in Congress ought to want to know where this guy is because he should not be an FBI agent.
But let's also talk about Ronald Machen. I mean, listen, he's the U.S. Attorney. He's sitting in your old office there, Joe.
Ron needs to make some public statements about how this all happened, who kept it secret, why this search warrant was not disclosed, why his office didn't make it public. They are the ones that sought it. That should have been made public not only by the court, but by the U.S. Attorney's Office. So they have a lot of explaining to do.
And ultimately, Eric Holder signed off on all this, too.
Absolutely. And I think Eric's got some very serious problems. I mean, I've known Eric for years. I like him, but I'm going to tell you something. The conflict between his testimony and what was said later about his key role. Not only did he sign it, he had a conference and a discussion with senior officials involved in the search of James Rosen's emails. This is not just something you just sort of forget about because you accidentally signed a piece of paper among, hundreds. This was a meeting. You don't forget the subpoenaing of a reporter. I had 3 or 4 opportunities to subpoena reporters when I was U.S. Attorney and to sign search warrants, and I refused.
How frequent is it? I mean, one of the chilling things I heard him say, Holder, was that, he's done this several times. So we really don't know the full extent of reporters being snooped on by the federal government.
Could be you, Susan.
Look, guys,
right. How extensive do you think it is?
I think it's very extensive. And this is why I say we now have a mosaic being formed of the corrupt abuse of power by this administration. You go look back. I'm not kidding about Gibson Guitar. That's customs enforcement. Look at the IRS, what they did targeting the Tea Party people and conservatives. Look at the FBI, ATF, and TSA raids on the woman down in Texas who was a Tea Party person who had applied for a 501c4. When you look at the array of federal agencies involved in intimidating people with raids and warrants and delays in their applications, there's only one conclusion a reasonable person can reach, and that is that the administration set a tone and a pattern of behavior that it tolerated and encouraged to intimidate Republicans and conservatives. This is a major scandal. And even though the mainstream media wants to kiss the baby Jesus, our president, and wants to let him go on being whatever he wants to be on any given day, they will not be able to stop this. The mainstream media will not be able to stop the onslaught of investigation that's going to proceed now. This is big stuff. This is the corruption of the federal government's massive enforcement powers.
The always reliably understated Joe DiGenova.
And I stick by every word, and
I know
watch.
you do, and that's why we love it, Joe.
You watch.
We will. Hey, you haven't been wrong yet. We haven't been wrong yet. Joe DiGenova, thanks as always for joining us, and thanks for bringing in all this heat and breaking these stories right here on WMAL.